Giant Voice, the official podcast of the United States Navy's largest overseas installation, Commander Fleet Activities, Yokosuka. All the information you need to succeed as a forward deployed sailor in Japan. Each week, we tackle one topic and speak to experts who can answer some of your most frequently asked questions. This is the Giant Voice Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and this is another episode of the Giant Voice Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Fluellen. This week, we are going to talk about the Shimoda Black Ship Festival. So for those of you who don't know, the Shimoda Black Ship Festival is a long-running festival here in Japan that CFAY has a lot of ties with, and that we participate with. We participate in the Shimoda Black Ship Festival every year. With me this episode, I have two of our own CFAY staff members who were at the Shimoda Black Ship Festival this past weekend, participating in it. So I have Shimizu-san, who is the Director of Military Liaison and Civil Affairs for CFAY. And then I have MC1 Sarten, who is the LPO for the CFAY Public Affairs Office. And these guys were at Shimoda, and we're gonna talk about it. How you doing, guys?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Great. Shimizu-san, doing well?
Yes, thank you for having me today.
All right, well, gentlemen, so Shimizu-san, let's start with you.
Yes.
Tell me about what the Shimoda Black Ship Festival is.
Okay, so Shimoda Black Ship Festival, this is a festival to commemorate the arrival of Black Ship to first, actually the ship from United States, at that time probably America, to the country of Japan. At that time, the Japan was closed to all countries except for Netherlands. And it was a real significant thing for Japan, and it's the opening of the Japan to the world, and it was a very significant moment. And in order to commemorate that, and in order to commemorate the Commodore Perry, who came with the fleet that time. And it's been continuing for 84th time, and I think next year they celebrating I think the 170th anniversary since the Commodore Perry came.
Since he came
to Shimoda.
And yeah, I think maybe for listeners who maybe don't know a lot about Japanese history, this is the end of the closed era, but this is also marks the beginning of the Meiji Restoration and industrialization, and is in some ways kind of the date of the modern era of Japan, correct?
Yes. That's very correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are those things kind of all encapsulated in the festival, like those connections?
Yes, that's what the Shimoda City is trying to do. And of course, what they're trying to do is to have fun as well.
Of course.
And to have a good friendship between the two countries, but not only the two countries, but many countries who are involved.
Right. Now, what's the connection between Shimoda and Yokosuka base? What's the connection there? Like, why is it important that we participate?
Okay, I started getting involved with this Black Ship Festival 15 years ago when I first got this job, but it's been continuing, of course, way before that, and I've been kind of, trying to keep on that history. So I'm very much responsible for having the Shimoda City to meet up with the people here in the U.S. Navy. But basically, I'm not pretty sure how it happened, to tell you the truth. Yeah. And
sometimes that's just how things are, right? They just sort of happen.
But the thing is that the Shimoda City requested the U.S. Embassy for help. And of course, U.S. Embassy provided all the support. And gradually that the support became the responsibility of the Yokosuka base.
I mean, so suppose it makes sense just logistically. We're kind of the closest to Shimoda, right? As far as U.S. Navy facilities are concerned.
Does it have anything to do with the fact didn't Commodore Perry originally land pretty close to here, right? He landed in Uraga.
Uraga too. Yes. Initially, the Commodore Perry's fleet came to here in Yokosuka. Yes, and all the signing of the trade and amity was be made at Shimoda.
I see.
There's a connection between the Yokosuka and Shimoda.
Yokosuka is the initial landing site, but Shimoda is where the stuff happened.
Yes.
So I know during the pandemic we didn't, but we typically send a ship down there, usually a destroyer, right?
Yes, usually destroyer, and we actually had the event last year too.
But there was no ship.
No ship. Just only the Admiral.
Yeah, I was there last year in Yokopan's costume, which was quite an experience.
We all felt so bad for you.
Oh my God, it was horrible. Yeah. But okay, so MC1, you were down there as the MC for the event, taking photos and stuff. Tell me a little bit about your experiences and what you thought.
Yeah, so I went down there with a team of another one of our mass communication specialists and a civilian government employee that we have. And our whole goal was to just kind of sort of provide photo and video coverage of all the different events that were there. It's a huge deal to see this, amazing set of interactions between U.S. sailors and the local populace. It's actually not just locals. You actually get a ton of tourists from all over
other parts of Japan, right?
So you just have this. You have this group of sailors. They're in their whites. They're having a good time. Just spreading a good mood, interacting with the locals, shaking hands and kissing babies. And we kind of followed them around throughout their different events. There were probably, I think there were like 15 different individual events. The guys from the Milius, I think day one they got there and they went and visited some local elementary schools.
Cool.
The local mayor came on board the USS Milius. There was a parade. So, all those different little interactions, we were just there to provide coverage for, to kind of ensure that we would get the opportunity to tell that story to our followers in the region.
So the festival is usually a really fun atmosphere, and it's very exciting. What are some of the other? I saw some of the pictures and videos of maybe there was a visit to a shrine, I think, and
Kyokusenji Temple.
Temple. Yes.
Oh, a temple. Excuse me. And some placing of wreaths and stuff. What's the meaning behind some of that?
So before explaining that, I think I need kind of to tell you the expectations that I've been requested from Shimoda City every year. Is that bring in the whole kind of American kind of feel to Shimoda,
right?
Once a year. That's like the expectation
of make a little mini American atmosphere in Shimoda.
Yes. So that's very true, and the reason for example, Shimoda City asking the sailors to be in their uniform during the day is just to kind of create that kind of the atmosphere within that small town of Shimoda. And that's kind of really makes the people of Shimoda City very happy.
I'm sure.
Yes.
So many years ago, I was in India when I was still active duty. We did a port call in India with a bunch of other navies, and we all walked around in dress uniform. and it was amazing. It was this kind of like a little bit of a rock star thing of people wanting to take pictures. So I imagine Shimoda has a little bit of that going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
During that 3 days.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
You witness that a lot with the sailors in their whites. You'll have parents will run up with their children and they'll just kind of like put the children in front of the sailors and ask to take a picture. It's really, really cool to see.
And I actually saw many sailors giving away their uniforms.
I've done that before myself.
Their caps and the full sets of uniform.
Yep.
So, but everybody was really having that big smile on their faces. So it's like amazing to see that.
That's what we want. I mean, that those things. There's a lot of talk, and this is for listeners, especially junior people listening. Is there's a lot of talk of be a good ambassador, and we have to keep up good relations with our host nation, which we do. But I think sometimes that can come across as that means the restrictive elements of that: be quiet on the train, try and adapt to Japanese culture, so on and so forth. But there's also a fun side to that, which is things like Shimoda, where we have these opportunities to party with Japanese people in a kind of Navy atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is really different from other port visit made by the ship. Actually, here, of course, we provide the kind of American atmosphere, but in exchange, the Shimoda City will provide to the sailors and all the leaders and all the American who come to Shimoda, like the rich Japanese history over there.
Yep.
The town itself, of course, people,
hospitality.
Yep. Yes. So, and we, in my daily work, I usually get involved in real, politics and all that, which could
stuff that can be more serious.
And it's not much fun, so to say. But really, the Black Ship Festival, it's all about having fun and friendship. So this is very rare experience. I think all the sailors can kind of.
What I would say to anybody listening, and you should go next year. Anybody on this base should go. There's nothing stopping you from just driving down to Shimoda and enjoying the festival. It's kind of a friendship day in reverse. It's rather than us inviting our host nation onto base, it's a small town inviting us to come Navy in their town for a weekend. And for people, you guys can tell, so people don't think it's just me saying this, but Shimoda is ethereally beautiful. It is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful.
Absolutely. Not even just the nature. I mean the waters there are this deep, beautiful blue. You're surrounded on all sides by these massive hills. It's a beautiful place to be, but you also get to see a different side, I think, at least from my perspective, of the Japanese people. I think, for those of us who live on Yokosuka or near any other military base, a lot of the locals are pretty used to us.
Right.
So there's certain experiences you just don't get. But when you go out there, you'll see there will be like a group of little kids, they're maybe 8 or 9 years old, and, they're all kind of sitting there snickering, and you can tell they're looking at you, and then one of them musters the courage to come up to you and just say, hello. And then, the moment you say hello back, it lights up all of their day.
Did they say, hello, nice to meet you, I'm fine, thank you, and you? Because that's the first thing my kid my kid goes to Japanese schools, and in English class, that's the first thing they taught.
No, they didn't get quite that far. But they'll just say hello, and you, without speaking that much Japanese and them without speaking that much English, just by the simple act of saying hello to some kid, you've already, served as that ambassador. You've sort of crossed that cultural bridge where, hey, we just connected, in what way we can. And I think it's it's pretty cool to be able to, you know, light up a group of people's faces, especially kids' faces, that easily, you know.
You make a good point because, you know, here in Yokosuka, everybody's kind of used to us. And even Kanto and Tokyo region in general has a lot of foreigners, not just military, but in all sorts of realms of the business and et cetera. But you get out to a place like Shimoda and, you know, people from other countries become much less frequent in those parts of Japan. And so you're right. You smiling at that kid, that interaction right there may have really long-lasting effects on how they perceive and view the Navy and how they perceive and view Americans and so on. So, yeah.
I think still the people of Shimoda City still had that kind of during my childhood time of, you know, the goodness of Japanese.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
they still keep that.
Yeah.
And, like, we are all kind of, in a way, polluted.
Yeah.
In a way, but they were really pure.
Yeah.
In that sense. So I'm really glad that, you know, all the sailors could get to experience that kind of Japanese people.
Yeah, it's that kind of small culture, small town Japanese-ness that maybe doesn't exist as much anymore as it used to. Yeah.
And they're really appreciative of people coming in as well.
And I'll tell you what else, and this is I'm not making light of it at all, but anybody listening who wants to go visit, those small towns are very happy to have your tourist dollars. They're very happy to have your money as a tourist, and so you're doing a good thing by going there and visiting because they want to have you there. So yeah, even not festival time, Shimoda is still a lovely place to go and visit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so what was your favorite thing about the festival? Your favorite one particular story or fun thing that happened?
You know, honestly, I think one of the coolest things to witness was the tug of war. They did that on the final day. So they actually have 10 teams compete in a sort of, I don't know, was it double elimination tug of war tournament? So you get 2 American Navy teams, a JMSDF team, and then I think 6 local teams. They actually have, like, I think a local construction company.
Oh, that's awesome.
A couple of high school teams, and I think just some enthusiasts, some guys that just love tug of war.
Tug of war otaku guys.
Yeah. So, no, they got so into it. Like, there were people that they would bring, everybody would be wearing matching wrestling boots.
Oh my God, that's
or they
amazing.
would be wearing like a deadlifting belt.
I love it.
I think the JMSDF team, they had a drummer in order to like keep rhythm, and it was
so that type of like jocular competition. Like my child, we just did his first elementary school sports day. Right. That type of like friendly competition, I think, is something that Japanese people grow up with from a very young age of like bonding through physical competition.
Yeah. Oh, and you could tell like everybody just enjoyed it. Like even I think some of the hobby teams were, you know, sorry to say, like greatly overmatched. Like even like I think I saw, you know, like some of the high school kids just got absolutely yanked by one of the construction
but it's
teams.
Still fun.
But everybody was smiling. Everybody was having a good time. And you know, of course, you know, you finally get around to the much awaited for, you know, U.S. Navy versus JMSDF competition, and the JMSDF took it this year.
Hey, good for them.
They won, but it was cool to watch. You know, everybody was having a good time. People were sweating. You know, it was cool.
Shimizu-san, what was your favorite thing this year?
One thing, I was on the parade car with the CEO of Milius.
Cool.
And with Commander Gunderson. I think it was his first time to be in Shimoda. And it was funny that right after he saw the Desron, who was there as well, got off his car, parade car, and start interacting with the local people in the parade. Commander Gunderson, he immediately got off the car with his wife. And then start, not only waving hand but shaking hand, and taking pictures, with the crowd.
That's great.
And really, of course, the 4 years hiatus kind of really. Everyone was really craving for
this festival,
interaction, without mask and without
being able to touch.
So I think at first, Commander Gunderson, when I went to explain to him about the whole event, he was very serious about it. He thought we were going for some kind of
religious ceremony
or political some kind of negotiation, because we're at that time in Hiroshima the G7 summit was going on. Yep. So he was very serious, and he said he can't fail this, whatnot. But said this is all about fun.
Right. Yeah.
But he of course first didn't believe my word. I think, but then,
or maybe he did, but he didn't. There was still that
visualize.
Nagging, yeah.
Well, so he was he had just taken command of the Milius.
So
I think
brand new stuff.
He was kind of wanted to get off on the right foot.
Yes.
And
so, hey, what a way to start your command, right? Get off on the right foot by going to one of the best festivals in the country. Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah. Well, kudos to him. In fact, I don't know if we mentioned this, but the day they pulled in, they started getting forecasts of heavy seas.
Yep.
So half of the crew got super lucky, and the other half of the crew kind of
was stuck on board.
Yeah, kind of got stuck on board.
They were anchored out.
Yeah, they had I think the evening of the first day going into the morning of the second day, they had 9 to 12 foot seas.
That'll do it.
Yeah, so they had to stop the Liberty boat, and I think half the crew got extra liberty, and the other half got stuck. But rumor that was going around was that the captain was gonna make it up to him on the next port. So
that's cool.
All the other captains out there listening, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Make it up to him on the next
Make
port
it up
visit.
to him.
Yeah, I have been stuck. One time in Korea, I got stuck on the other way. I got stuck on shore. Couldn't get the boat back out to the ship. But we were at a Korean Navy base. No hotels around there at all. So we had to stay in the Korean Army barracks. Like 40 people to a room.
Speaking of which, I think on second day, the sailors, because they couldn't go back to the ship, so they got stranded. And so about 20 people, sailors, had to stay in the elementary school gymnasium.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so they actually had to sleep on the floor.
Wow!
And just no like cushion or anything, just like blanket. But I was amazed that all those sailors, they just upkept their spirit high, and really they were having fun.
Yeah.
So still,
well, the city really did everything they could to support.
Of course.
The water boat company. I think it was owned by some local fisherman. I think his name was actually also Shimizu-san.
Yes,
they
not
did,
my relative.
they did the best they could to support the ship and make sure that the crew was able to get off and that they could do their comrels. So
the best.
Every person involved. Especially on the Japanese side, just was really there to make sure this thing happened and that it went well.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's good to hear that the both sides are still so invested in making this happen every year, and I think it'll be fun next year as well. So if you're listening around this time next year. It happens again, and it is a blast. So if you're not on the ship that gets selected to go, maybe find a way to get down there. I think they did an ITT trip this year.
They did, yeah. We saw some local Marines that I think were there, part of that.
Yeah. So yeah, MWRITT or make your own way down there. It's a blast of a festival.
Book your hotel long in advance.
Yeah, it's a small town and a lot of people come to visit. So
And Shimoda is really famous for spa too.
Oh, like
very
onsen,
good
hot
onsen.
springs. Yeah,
Nice onsen. So
cool.
and
So lots of things to
great
see and
seafood.
do. Yeah, all Izu is like really amazing seafood, right? So yeah, lots of great things to see and do down there. And yeah, it's a fun festival. We just wanted to talk about it. And just a shout out to all the people of Shimoda City if they happen to listen. I know these guys and everybody is very thankful for the hospitality they were shown. So, all right, that's about all we have for this episode of the Giant Voice Podcast. Thank you for listening. As always, thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you too.
And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. The Giant Voice Podcast is a production of Commander Fleet Activities Yokosuka Public Affairs Office. The views expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the policy of the Department of the Navy or Department of Defense. Thanks for listening.